Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and this topic is going to be a very sensitive topic. It will push your buttons. It is going to piss some people off. It is going to affect a lot of people. However, it comes from a place of love, and it's going to help a couple of people. So today's topic, and this is a single mom's chat, is domestic violence and abuse. Okay, I know you guys hear a lot about it and whatnot. People don't recognize that they are in domestic violence situations. Here's why. When you're going through something, you can't see what everyone else around you sees. So to the people who say, I'm not going to step in and help because she ain't going to do nothing but just go back to him. She don't see it. She don't see that this is what's happening to her. I remember when I had a relationship such as that one, disclaimer, anybody will tell you, I did not take an ass whipping. Not at all. One thing about me, I've always been a fighter, so no. But I learned a lot about domestic violence and the cycle and how to get out of it and all kinds of things. Here's what happened, and I'm not going to go into a great, long, in-depth story because I've done the work and I've healed. I'm in a different place. But here's what happened. You spend a lot of your life, most of the time, we jump into relationships never truly knowing who we are getting. But then, believe that woman when she tells you that there was no sign that this man was going to do any of these things, because the process is very gradual. It is a breakdown over a course of time to the culmination of it all is when he actually starts hitting. But leading up to it, it's a lot of breakdown. You have to break down. It's stages. You guys have to understand that. You're going to get isolated. You're going to get taken away from everyone you know and love. Be it through taking phones, monitoring websites, having issues with everyone around you. He'll pick a fight and tell you that you don't have any friends and you don't, such and such is not your friend, because they want to isolate you. The more you're by yourself, the more it becomes easier for him to continue to break you down. The first step of abuse is all up here. See, if someone can get up here, they can control everything else. So that means that your mental has to be stronger than your the person who is trying to break you. So that means you have to know that this person, and you have to see that this person is trying to affect you negatively. It'll start with things like they may assault your appearance, but lo and behold, you know that that's not true. If you love you, that's all that matters. What another person tells you does not. So when this man is trying to feed you these lies that you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, that, and the third. Well, baby, 9 times out of 10, when they're doing that, if you just take 10 whole minutes to just sit down and process what that person is telling you, and then look at them, and you'll be like, well, you're not the best looking man in the world either. You start to think, okay, well, if I'm all this, why you want me? See, that's when it makes sense to you. Well, what you want me for? If I'm all this, if you really feel like that, what you want me for? But then The flip side, so if he can get in your head, he can control you. You have to build yourself up. Your self-love, that's why it's important. Self-love is you loving yourself and knowing your worth so that no one can devalue you and no one can control you by feeding you lies and breaking down your mental. Because anyone who can break your mental can control you. So the flip side to the coin is now let's say that you are in a situation and your mental has been broken. You don't believe your family loves you. You don't believe you have any friends. You don't believe he cares anything about you. You know, you believe these things. Let's say that you believe them. The only thing I know to tell you is the very next step. Pay attention to it. The very next step is what you feel. When you start to believe those things, pay attention to how you feel. You'll start to feel trapped. You'll feel like you're in a box. And you'll feel like the box is just getting smaller and smaller. And you're backed in a corner. You don't know what to do. The next component that a man will use or an abuser, let me not say man, because abuser can be male or female. So let's change the tone of it. But I'm speaking from a woman's perspective. But an abuser, the very next thing that they're going to do is control your finances. They don't want you to work. They'll sabotage your work. Okay? They don't want you to go to school, because any connection that you have to the outside world is a chance that you're going to spill, or a chance that they're going to help you break free. Make sense? You got to be isolated. They want you on an island so that you feel like there's no way out, that they're your only way out. Don't believe that for a second. The next thing is, once your finances are controlled, they have total control over you, unless you get creative and you start to think your way out of your situation. The next thing is they will try to monopolize your reproductive health, meaning they will want to have sex knowing that you are not on birth control. Go take your behind to the doctor for your checkup. Chances are he's not following you. Go get some birth control, because another way they use you is your children. If you've been in a situation when you procreated with this person, they're going to use the children to manipulate you, because as a mother, that is your weak spot. You want the best for your children. So knowing that you want the best for your children means that this person now knows you have this weakness, and they're going to use it. Then when all of that starts, it will get to a point where we're arguing more and more, and each one's getting intense. He may not have right away slapped you, but he might have pushed you. He might have put you out of car. He might have done something out the way. It's not a hit though. It's going to be something else to break you down more. Then once you guys do get to that point, the next step is going to be the physical. Now, I said this and I say it again. Okay. When you give somebody power over you, they think that they can control the human form. You can't. Never in the history of us being alive on earth has that happened without a revolt, a escape. Something's going to happen. But you have free will. You have will to change your situation at any given time. I am here in Alabama by myself. Yeah, my mom's here, but again, by myself. I was here long before she ever came. And that was important, that I didn't, even though I was here alone, I had will. My will was stronger because I knew that someone was trying to break me. When someone is trying to break me, I don't give you that power. If I know that that's what you're seeking to do, you won't have that. I don't give you the authority. You understand? I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, the only person who can make you, a person cannot make you feel inferior without your permission. You're the one who's giving them that. You're giving and then don't be intimidated by size, because honestly, I will tell you guys, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. I promise you it's not. So don't let a man's size, but don't deceive yourself into thinking that you can really overpower or beat a man physically. The only way you're going to do it is to outthink them. And you have to always stay 10 steps ahead. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So I urge all of you women who are in a domestic violence situation, simply this: have a spare set of clothes for you, your children. Have copies of your documents, or if you are able to, store them away from the house. Have a backup cell phone. Do not mix your finances. Do not get on someone's phone plan. Stay on your own plan. That minimizes someone being able to monitor your calls and monitor your messages and things like that. What you do is you contact your cell phone provider. Let them know that you want to put a 2-step authentication code on your account, which means a person would have to pass 2 steps. They would have to know the password that you had, and they would have to know the secondary password or passcode. So it's 2. Make sure it's something that they would never think of. Make sure it is not something that you use regularly. It's something only you would know, no one else. Okay, that's what you're going to do for your cell phone. The next thing you're going to do is keep your bags in the trunk of your car, or if the car belongs to him and there's a chance that he will take the car, you are going to take your bags and leave them in a secure location with a neighbor. Don't explain to them if you don't want to go into detail. Just ask them, say, hey, I have some extra clothes and I just need to store them over here in case of an emergency. Let's say my house catch a fire. Do that. You don't have to include anybody in your business. So what you can do is just be like, hey, I just need to store this in case something happens and I need access to it really quickly. I don't have to go any further than right next to it to get it. Try to do that if you have a neighbor who you talk to or even speak to. The next way that you are going to still foster relationships, get involved with your kids at school. Some of your best help is going to be right there at the school. Notify your school, your kid's school, that if the other parent does not have a code word or a safety thing, that they can't release them, and tell them that it's a safety issue. If necessary, you go and you, this is after everything has had a chance to surface. If you have a court order, you can do it. You can definitely do it. These are some options. Contact your local YWCA. They are not going to tell you, but let them know that you're a victim of domestic violence and they will give you shelter. The shelter is going to be secure. And so to all you abusers who think that you could still have access even if she's in a shelter, no, you can't. And let me tell you why, so you can fool yourself into thinking that. But this is what's going to happen. When you go into the shelter has a number, a special number to the police department that is local. That when something happens, all they have to do is pick up that phone, and in less than 5 minutes, a whole army of cop cars will be there to pick you up. So attempt to, if you like, even if you find a location. I don't recommend that you try anything, because shelters are secure in that way. They're going to protect the person that's being abused at all costs. Next thing, when you contact the YWCA, they also have other resources. Therapy for you, therapy for your children, anger management, because you are going to have some residual anger given whatever you've gone through. You're going to be affected by that. So make sure that you get the proper help for your psyche. It is going to be affected. Your children too, if they've encountered or witnessed abuse. The next thing you want to do is, you never want to let the abuse spill over to your children. If your child gets hit, I recommend you leave. Don't ask any questions. The minute you see an opening, I don't care if he's asleep, get out that house, because then you and your children are in danger of being killed. See, death is the only other way. If you're not willing to leave, death is the only other way. You will be severely hurt or on your deathbed if you continue to stay in situations like that. It is not good for you. And for as much as you think that it doesn't affect your children, or if you think that your children don't hear, or they don't know, or they don't see, don't be misinformed. They see everything, they hear everything, and they felt it. They understand when domestic violence is happening around them. They know that mommy is hurt. They know that mommy is crying. They know whatever. I have had and heard stories of women who don't think that their husband can rape them. Yes, he can. If you said no, no is no. It doesn't matter that we got a ring. It's still no. It's your control over your body. If you don't desire sex, then you don't have to have it. I had an experience. Like I said, I had an experience. I thank God that it didn't end in the death of me. But did I go through hell? Yeah. Nope. I went through hell, and I didn't get my ass beat. Sorry to inform anyone. I did not get my ass beat. I am a fighter. No, I have 2 brothers, and I have a whole bunch of uncles who do not play that. As far as they made sure that I knew that a man was never to put his hands on me. And if he did, you get back with him. However that is. And I haven't met a woman in my immediate family that took an ass whipping. Sorry. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Guys, it's a real thing. It's a lot of resources that are available to you. You don't know that if you file a report with the police officers, you get away. You always leave a paper trail, please. Always. After every incident, go tell somebody. Because much like anything in life, if it's not recorded in black and white somewhere, it didn't happen. So you never want anyone to be able to question the authenticity of your statement, and make sure you have proof. So what happened is that you guys don't know that there's something called the Victims Compensation Fund. If you're a victim of domestic violence, you are able to get at least, I think it's $1,000. It may be more. There is free transportation for you if you need to relocate quickly. Traveler's Aid will assist you in getting a bus ticket for you and your children to wherever you're trying to go. So it's the Victims Compensation Fund, Travelers Aid, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Please call them. You want to document as much as you can that this is a real thing and it's happening. That's another thing. If you have access to your phone and he hasn't gotten to the point where he's monitoring, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline so that they can help you form what is called a safety plan to get you and your children exited as quickly as possible. I will link some things below to help you. Also, I am available if you have any questions, concerns. You can inbox me if you don't want to leave them down below in the comment section. Another thing I want you guys to be mindful of is control is in different forms. If he's following you, you may not even know that you're being followed. You're not paying attention. Pay attention to your surroundings at all times. They will change cars on you. They will have other people watching and following you. You will get a keystroke logger on your computer if you use a computer. A keystroke logger is something else. It allows them to see your screen. When you're on the computer, it'll send them screenshots of your computer screen whenever you're on there. Just be mindful, there's a lot of software out here that is assisting abusers. And I get it. What was meant for the police and to help people has actually turned into a resource for abusers to become more crafty and more, it makes it easier for them to abuse you and control you because of the things that exist in the world. Cameras, nanny cams, yeah, things like that, guys. And the only way to break free is to completely get away. You have to do what they call going off the grid, meaning you have to shut down all activity, take utilities out of your name, take bills out of your name. Do not run your credit for anything, nothing, until you're out of the danger zone. And you won't know when you're clear until you've done a couple of things. There's a couple of things I recommend. Going to your court, getting a name change. Getting a name change will allow you to get a whole new identity for you and your children, and it'll allow you to disappear faster. But you cannot just go and get it for no reason. You have to have documentation in order for that to happen. So you have to follow the legal channels of putting a protection from abuse order in place. You have to follow a number of things so that you can break free of this person. You will have to go in the shelter, and you may have to stay in the shelter for an extended period of time. You may have to be relocated from one shelter and put into another. You may have to go to several different shelters. Do the work. Don't be afraid. What is more important, surviving and protecting your children, or being fearful and dying, or being fearful and critically injured, or one of your children getting injured? The cons of leaving are not as great as the cons for staying. Don't deceive yourself into thinking that. Another thing, be completely real with yourself. Why are you staying? Because you're scared. Fear is it will keep you stagnant. It will keep you unable to do anything that you need to do to progress. You have to stop being afraid. The minute you stop being afraid is the minute you can take control back. Easier said than done. It's going to take you a while. It's going to take you a while to leave. But when you are ready, you'll know. But it's always good to have a plan in case he expedites the situation for you, you know, to where it's really, really bad and you have no choice. You're at the point where you really think that you're about to be hurt. Go. You know, and it's going to take, are you going to go back to him? Mm-hmm. You're going to leave him and go back. It happens. Hopefully, the average person, you know, will go back 2 to 3 times. And after the 3rd time is when they'll finally leave. Don't wait until the 3rd time, because most of the time, the 3rd time is where someone has gotten completely injured or is deceased. You don't want that. Don't do that. Don't let it get to that point. When it's coming up to that, you'll know, and you need to go. You'll have a sense, an intuition that something is not right. And when you get to the point where you're thinking of ways to cause physical harm to the other person, the one who's doing the abuse, the abuser, you need to leave, because that means you're just one step away from completely snapping and being a woman on Snapped. You guys remember Farrah Fawcett in The Burning Bed? If you have never seen the movie The Burning Bed, I suggest you watch it. Her husband was horrible, and he had help from the family and the friends that she thought she had. That's another thing. Your family and your friends are deceived by him, because him or her, because they are charming, they are narcissistic at best, and they foster relationships with people close to you to keep tabs on you. Don't think that they'll have your family completely fooled, and you'll be like, no, this is not how it is. Listen, just know you need to find some new people, because they may or may not believe you. Unless any of the individuals that he's fostering relationships with have ever been in a domestic violence situation, then they're not going to understand. So they're not going to recognize the signs. But someone who is aware can tell you when you're in a domestic violence situation. There are classic telltale signs. If he does something to you and then the next breath he is buying you flowers, that's the honeymoon cycle. It's going to be okay for a little while, and it gets shorter and shorter, and then it goes from beating once in a blue moon to beating you every day, or beating you just because you said hi, or because you looked a certain way, or because you dressed a certain way. You getting your behind whipped. So the cycle gets shorter and shorter between hold on guys, because I'm trying to pull up the cycle so I can take you through this cycle. It's called the cycle of domestic violence. You go into the tension building phase, then you have the abusive incident, and then you have the honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase is the, I'm sorry, please don't leave me. I have a hard time expressing myself. I'm so sorry. I would never do anything to hurt you. Well, that's what got us here, to you apologizing. And if you did it once, you'll do it again and again and again and again. The very first time that you go back, you tell him that it's okay. When I left for good. There was no, I'm leaving, and I went back and forth. When I left, that was the complete break. I never went back. The tension building phase, you feel like you're walking on eggshells. You are scared to say anything or do anything because you think that the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to end up slapped across the room or anything. I went through so many broken phones until Sprint was like, we're not replacing anymore. Period. And so nothing is going to change. I want you to know that. It is not going to change, because the change has to come from him, and he has to want to change. When he changes, his actions speak louder than his words. If his actions and his words don't align, he is not done. He is still the very same person. Beware of a lion in sheep's clothing. They will present as though they have changed, that they've done the work, but you'll know because there'll be a sign, something. There will be a slip that will tell you that they've not changed, not a dang on thing. And the minute you go back, you risk your safety, your health, your well-being. So the number to the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE 7233. I am going to put that across the screen. Again, that was for the National Domestic Violence Domestic Violence Hotline. Y'all, I am going to briefly go to, hold on guys. I told y'all I have notes and stuff. Victims Compensation Fund. Okay. The Crime Victims Compensation is a government program to reimburse victims of violent crimes. So assault, homicide, rape, sometimes burglary, and it'll help your family too with out-of-pocket expenses. Also, the court, if you go through the court, ask for a domestic violence advocate and ask them to do a lock change. They will change the locks on your house for you. And I'm trying to think, is that what it's called? Hold on, because it has a name, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. I think it's this. Let's see. I'll tell you what it is. They may have something similar. Here in Birmingham, it's called Project Safe, where the police will do a lock change and do a bunch of things. What I've noticed about when you go to the courts, if there is no physical evidence, they're likely to do anger management for the abuser. I tell anybody, anger management classes teaches him how to abuse more effectively. Him or her, how to abuse more effectively. That's all it does. But again, that's the situation where until you are in it, you don't understand it. And you have 9 times out of 10, you have someone who is right within your immediate circle who's being abused, and you'll never know it. They're not going to tell you, but you'll see it. You'll know what you're looking for if you've been someone who's withdrawn, extra quiet, really, really quiet, abnormally quiet, very mousy. They shy away. Someone who's not assertive, you'll know they don't speak up for themselves, period. They're very shy. Nope. It's not shyness. It's they're not allowed to speak at home like that. Or you'll see, or the flip side to the coin is you'll get someone who's overly aggressive. They can't control what's at home, so they control the house. That's why they control where you work. That's a lot of times why you have a lot of people who bully. They have no control at home. So they come and they are overly aggressive. They can't exhibit their frustration at home because there's somebody at home beating the brakes off them. Okay? So when they come to work, it's that you'll notice the one who covers the black eye or comes to work with a black eye and wears shades, or you'll see they're trying to cover it, but you can tell that they have a black eye, and you know that this person's not fighting unless they're fighting that man that's at home, man or woman that's at home. You'll notice that they dress a certain way. Some of them, they don't want people to see them. so they don't dress where people can notice their bodies, or anything that's going to draw attention to them. They don't want it, because for fear that the abuser will find out that somebody looked at them, or that something happened, and then and then he or she beats the heck out of her when she gets home. So you do have some that are able to get out the house to come to work, but they're still scared. They're scared that he's gonna pop up at the job at any time, or that he's watching, because you know that he's watching. But he's not literally watching. He has a way of finding out, meaning he'll pay who he has to pay, he'll bribe who he has to pay, he'll sweet talk, finesse whoever he has to finesse to get the information that he needs, even those closest to you. So when you leave, you have to, for a short period of time, break free from your relatives, because he'll know all of the places y'all have gone together, and he'll know exactly where to look for you, and that's going to be the first place he goes to. And you want them to be able to say without a doubt that they don't know where you are. And that's how you keep it. When you call them from a number that is blocked, so that they don't know the number. They can actually deny knowing the number. You never let them call you. You always call them. Give them a certain day of the week that you're going to call them, and they know to look out for that call, so that they know that it's you. That's the only thing that they're going to do. But as far as anything else, and never stay on the phone for very long, because it just makes it easy for somebody to track you. So you just say, hey, I'm okay, and that's it. I'll call you when I get to my next destination, period. Nothing else. Yeah. So that's that, guys. I probably will do a part 2 to this, because domestic violence is such a broad topic, and it's a topic that now really doesn't get enough, it doesn't get enough airtime as much anymore. I don't know if it's because we have a whole bunch of new problems, but there's still someone that's in your close immediate circle saying that they are, well, they're not saying, but they literally show the telltale signs of someone who's being beat. And don't think that it's a low-income problem. Baby, if you think it's a low-income problem, you are deceived. Men of power have a habit of beating you. Why? Because if an area, they have to be able to control every area of their life. They have to control. They're so used to micromanaging, or if there is someone who is above them that is supervising them and they don't have any control at work, they're going to take it out on you at home. That's the place that they can control, because they're the what? King of the castle, or the queen of the castle. So they're going to take it out on you. So men and women in power are abusers. Don't ever think that they're not. Those are the ones most likely to be abusers. Men with money, women with money, they are likely to do it because they can do the crime and they can hide it so easy. Who's going to believe you? Who's going to believe little old you compared to this man or this woman with status? And that's how the world works. You know, you control the money, you control the world. And you can monopolize it and twist it however you see fit. You can twist any narrative to benefit you. And because of people who have power, they have connections. Lawyers, government, politicians. Those are all likely to be abusers. So a lot of times when you see women and women are not leaving, it's probably because they can't, or they don't see their way out. I'm just saying. We're quick to judge, but very few know the story. You have to know the story of abuse. You can see a lot of abuse. You can see it in the way somebody talks to a person. And it's so refreshing to me, because I am able to dodge so many bullets. So many bullets. I see red flags before people ever exhibit the behavior. They tell on themselves. There's something that they're going to do or say that will tell you that that's how. And that's why when you're dating, it's important to ask questions. See how they feel. Like, I'm always mindful of a man who is quick to call a woman a bitch. Your ex is a bitch. I'm looking at you funny now. Now you done sent up the red flag. You calling women out of their name. You got to be mindful of men with mommy issues. If their mother was out in the streets, if their mother wasn't active, if their mother wasn't around, they're more likely to beat a woman because they think that that's the way to keep her. If their mother was not affectionate, same thing. Some women require motherly love. And if they don't get it, the next recourse is to become and, enforce outcomes. Not manage them, force them. They're going to force it to work. So they're going to force you to do all the things that their mom never did. It's lots of underlying psychological issues with men and women who are abusers. A lot of underlying psychological issues. And until you understand psychology and psychosis and a lot of mental health things, you're not going to understand it. It's forever going to that's why you hear a whole lot of people, I don't understand. You couldn't. You have to understand the psyche, how the mind works, and how when we are broken down at certain developmental stages, we stay there. We don't progress. That's why it's important for children who are witnesses of domestic violence and who have been through things to get help. Y'all, I got stuck for a minute. Hold on, because I'm looking for something. And I'm going to tell y'all. That's why May is important. May is National Mental Health Month. I'm going to talk a lot about mental health in May. I'm going to talk a lot about mental health. Yeah, I'm tripping. There is a National Domestic Violence Month. I can't remember when it is though. Hold on. I used to have a whole file on so October is National Domestic Violence Month. I'm jotting it down. It's yeah, October 1st starts National Domestic Violence Month. So I'll do a special week-long or maybe a month-long series on domestic violence. And of course, I'm not opposed to telling you guys like the full story of what happened, but it wasn't nothing, it was nothing that was major. Like I didn't get hurt or anything. Well, I got hurt, but it wasn't nothing that was, like I was getting beat every day or every week or whatever. It wasn't anything like that. My situation is a different one. My domestic violence was more of financial control, emotional, tried to control my emotions, and my use my children. That's it. And to this day, I don't think he understands that that's domestic violence. And another thing, guys, real quick, teenagers, y'all are stuck. Some of y'all are stuck in domestic violence situations and y'all don't know it, and y'all scared to tell your parents. Nobody. Let me tell you something. I'm laughing, but I'm so serious when I tell you, if you in the same situation as me, I refuse to take an ass whipping. The only ass whipping as a teenager I'm going to take is the one from my damn parents or grandparents. What the hell I look like taking one from a boyfriend? I don't even live in the same house as you. What? Who? Man, baby. Y'all teenagers. There is a y'all call the National Domestic Violence Hotline too. I can't talk about that because I wasn't a teenager that went through it, because I have a crazy brother. My brother's real crazy. And anybody who he thought would put their hands on me, baby, would have got they toe up. Okay? My brother is a fool. But speak up. Speak up, speak out, speak loud, so people hear you. They can't hear you if you hiding. And the number one person to tell you, if you're a teenager, you better go to your mama and tell your mama. Go tell. And then you need to do the work to identify, first of all, why you even got yourself caught up in this. And I'm gonna tell you, the worst crime a teenager could commit is that ride or die mentality. You do ride or die don't mean you have to take an ass whipping. I promise you, because nothing about that means that you have to be beat up and still stay. Hell no. And you don't give anybody that type of control over you. You're too young for that. You're too young. You have a whole life ahead of you to let somebody like that. And you better not, I know, like, y'all get in this inbox. Because I'm going to tell you now, if you a teenager and you going through domestic violence, I will send somebody. Y'all, we coming. I'm coming. Because I'm going to have to, baby, if you don't take your emotionally, mentally, psychologically broke down self somewhere, talking about the abuser now, and go find out why you got a problem with this girl, probably because they can't control what's going on at their home. 9 times out of 10, they're witnessing abuse at home. But you're not going to bring that over here. If any one of my nieces or nephews tell me somebody beating, baby, who will be there in a hurry? There was an incident where I had to roll up. I said, what? I don't mind hopping and coming. What you gonna do? Baby, we finna go to this police department. We gonna file this report. We gonna change these locks, and you gonna get on about your business. Nobody don't have time. Life is too short as it is to be taking ass whippings. If I'm not happy, life's too short. You not finna beat my ass. I'm sorry. I don't care how much I love you. Love don't hurt. It definitely does not hurt. So for you teenagers and that suicide shit, you if he want to die, he or she want to die, y'all go on. I'm not telling you not to support them, but they need to die by themselves, because you got a lot more living to do if they feel like they want to give up on life. You can't coax a person who really has their mind made up that they're going to kill themselves. That's one thing that people need to understand. I worked on a suicide hotline. Any person that wants to effectively commit suicide, they're going to. It may not be right then and there, but eventually they've already shown the signs that they're willing to do whatever it takes to kill themselves, and they know exactly how they want to go out. I promise you. But what you don't do is make a pact that you are going to do some Romeo and Juliet type stuff. No, because if that's not what you want, you can't, just because you love that person, go with them. It's not your time. And even if it's not your time to go, you're not going to go anyway, even if you tried. If it's not your time. Stop taking other people's problems on so bad and so early on in life. You have to let go and let God. Sometimes you have to let God handle people, or whoever your higher power is. You have to let them take care of it, because it's not on you. We're only given a certain amount of time here on earth. We're going to do two things. We need to grow and we need to be productive. Not stagnant and full of angst and other people's issues, because a lot of times the only thing that you can do for a person who truly has an issue is recommend them to see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, get them on some medication, help them do that. But that's as much as you can do for them. Because no amount of pleading, no amount of begging, no amount of crying is going to change this person. They have to. It is an internal thing where they have to fix what's broken. If they don't fix what's broken, they will break you with their brokenness. So guys, that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to put that out there. And I will talk about, if you guys have questions about what happened, I'll talk about it. But I'm at a different place. Like, that was almost 12 years ago. So I'm in a different place. Very different. I was younger, but not too young. And still, like I said, it's been over about 12 years. So, yeah, I don't talk about it too much now. I'm free. I'm out. I'm living my best life. Child, ain't got 10. Folk will wear on your mental and try to have you out here whack-a-doodle-doo. Not I, said the cat. And the dog said me either. All right, y'all. I'm off of this video. As always, like, comment, subscribe. If you have a question or comment, something that you don't want anyone to see, put it in my inbox. I will answer you as soon as I receive it. And